Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into some very charged remarks where Trump tries to distance himself from Epstein by saying he's not concerned about the victims.
Yep,
Let's dig into that.
absolutely. It's a statement that really raises a lot of eyebrows. What do you make of that phrase, not concerned about the victims?
Well, it's like he's trying to split his association with Epstein from the pain inflicted on the victims. He seems to be implying, sort of, that his role isn't to be an advocate for their interests, or that he's detached from the emotional or political fallout.
Right? But isn't that a pretty stark contrast to what one would expect from someone in his position, especially given the weight of the allegations and the fallout over the years?
Exactly. It's almost like he's deliberately downplaying responsibility. And remember, this comes in the backdrop of debates where some are even saying he could or might pardon figures like Ghislaine Maxwell. It's baffling. Virginia Roberts Giuffre's family was, very vocal, calling that idea one of the highest travesties of justice.
Yeah, that kind of rhetoric definitely doesn't sit well, especially when public sentiment is so charged over abuse of power and judicial integrity. It seems like his distancing act is more about political maneuvering than genuine concern, wouldn't you say?
I'd agree. And it's interesting to note that while Trump says he's not personally invested in the narrative of victimhood, his political history is deeply enmeshed with those controversies. It's like he's trying to rewrite the narrative.
Exactly. But then, isn't there a disconnect here? I mean, on one hand, you have this distanced, almost dismissive remark, and on the other hand, the public, especially the Democratic left, who are pushing for more transparency and accountability. What do you think spurred that approach?
It's like a calculated move. The statement came, if you recall, on MSNBC, where they also captured the reaction of Democrats ratcheting up pressure on the White House for more details. So it's not just a casual comment, it's part of a larger political contest.
Right. And when you hear that, there's a real tension. On one side, there's the desire to separate his legacy from Epstein's scandal. And on the other, there's a blame game where victims' voices are being essentially sidelined. That must hurt a lot of people.
Absolutely, and it's embarrassing in a sense because it seems like he's refusing to acknowledge that the impact on victims isn't just a political narrative, it's very real, very personal.
I mean, when you're dealing with these kinds of cases, every comment gets magnified in the court of public opinion. And Trump's attempt to distance himself might be seen as deflecting or even erasing accountability. Wouldn't you say that's a bit problematic?
For sure. It's almost like he's outsourcing the responsibility for these grave issues, hoping perhaps that by deflecting, he can mitigate the backlash. And then there's the whole conversation about the potential pardoning of figures involved in similar scandals. It just muddies the waters even further.
Yep. There's also the moment when some commentators pointed out that such distancing acts could, ironically, further alienate the very people who feel victimized by these crimes, almost like a double blow. What's your take on that?
I mean, it's almost paradoxical, isn't it? He's trying to absolve himself, but that same act ends up reinforcing the notion that he cares more about his own image than about genuine justice for the victims. It's like when you try too hard to wash your hands of something, they just look dirtier.
That's a great analogy. And it seems to defy the basic principles of accountability, especially when so many people are calling for more details and transparency about the case. This pressure from Democrats on the White House isn't trivial either.
Exactly. And let's not forget the broader media context around this. MSNBC, for instance, is framing these events as part of a larger political and moral battleground. The comments get repeated, highlighted, and then become part of the public conversation.
And in doing so, they're not just reporting facts, they're also shaping opinions. It makes me wonder, does this distancing serve a political purpose well beyond the immediate scandal? Like a broader strategy to redefine the narrative surrounding his entire political persona?
Absolutely. It seems like a deliberate shift to reposition himself. By saying he's not concerned about the victims, he might be trying to shift the focus away from his past associations and onto something else entirely.
Yeah, there's something almost ironic about it. On one hand, he's downplaying personal responsibility, and on the other, the political narrative forces him into the spotlight again. I mean, isn't it like trying to dodge an arrow only to have it bounce right back?
That's a vivid way to put it. It's like when you try to outsmart a system, sometimes the system just catches you off guard anyway. And here we see that even with his distancing, the media and the public keep pressing the issue.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this comment affects how his supporters perceive him, though? I mean, supporters often have a different lens on these statements compared to critics.
It's interesting because his base might rationalize his comments as just another political tactic or even see it as a necessary stance, especially if they feel that the media misrepresents him. But still, it's a risky move because it doesn't address the underlying issue of accountability.
Right. Exactly. And it creates this sort of cognitive dissonance, doesn't it? For some, it might be seen as a refreshing detachment from political correctness, while for others, it just appears callous and dismissive. I mean, where do we draw the line?
That's the million-dollar question. It's like trying to balance on a knife edge. On one side, you have the need to appeal to his voter base, who may support his blunt style. On the other, you face mounting pressure from those who insist on holding powerful figures accountable for, disastrous associations.
Now, there's also been talk about the potential pardoning of individuals like Ghislaine Maxwell. I find that really troubling. What's your take on that angle where he appears to present himself as separate from all that corruption?
Well, that's the thorn in the argument, isn't it? When Virginia Roberts Giuffre's family blasted the idea of a pardon as a travesty of justice, it underscored how disconnected that stance is from the realities of the victims' experiences. Even if Trump's distancing claim is meant to illustrate a separation, it falls apart when you consider the broader implications.
Yeah, right? Because instead of addressing a serious systemic issue, it kind of feels like a band-aid over a deep wound, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's like patching up a leak with a note that says, "I'm not the problem." But if you take off the patch, the issue is still right there glaring. And this move might even provoke a harsher backlash from those who feel justice is being undermined.
I see that. And it's important because it ties into the broader accountability debate in this era of partisan media. Every statement, every distancing maneuver ends up being scrutinized and, in some cases, even weaponized by opposing factions.
Definitely. And it contributes to the polarization we see today. The way each comment is dissected in public discourse makes it even more challenging to have a balanced conversation about justice and accountability.
Right. So, if we step back and look at the broader picture, Trump's statement isn't just a standalone comment. It's part of a larger political drama where narratives are constantly being shifted, spun, and reinterpreted on both sides of the aisle.
Exactly. It's like a game of chess where every move, no matter how small or seemingly detached, sets off a series of reactions. And here, quoting his distancing remark only exacerbates the divide.
There's a lot to unpack about responsibility in the political arena. But just to challenge a bit here, don't you think that sometimes, strategically, distancing oneself from a scandal, even in a clumsy fashion, might actually help salvage an image in the short term?
I see where you're coming from, but the risk is profound. While distancing might offer temporary relief, it also sets a precedent where serious issues are, well, dismissed rather than confronted. In the long run, this can erode public trust even more.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a delicate balancing act between political survival and ethical responsibility. And if the public feels cheated or ignored, trust can crumble really quickly, can't it?
Absolutely. It's like a fragile structure. One misstep and things can come crashing down. And in such high-stakes scenarios involving criminal cases and deeply personal victim stories, there's no room for such miscalculations.
As we wrap up, it really seems that this distancing tactic from Trump to the broader narrative about Epstein highlights both a political strategy and a moral dilemma. How do you see this playing out in the future?
I think as scrutiny intensifies and pressure for transparency mounts, these kinds of statements will be subject to even more intense debate. Political figures might, in the short term, maneuver their way out of immediate fallout, but long-term accountability is hard to
Right.
shake off.
Well said. it's a complex interplay between political maneuvering and the stark reality of the human cost behind these scandals. Thanks for this in-depth look. It's been enlightening to explore all these layers.
Thanks, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's keep questioning these narratives and pushing for genuine accountability.
Yep.
Until next time.